I'm JJ Barnes and this is Jonathan McKinney.
Hello.
And you're watching another episode of Writing, Talking and Dog Walking. Hi, so thank you for joining us again. As you can see, we are here, we have Molly Dog, and we are bringing you the writing advice we hope you want. So today we're going to be talking about coincidences in story.
Right.
So basically, we're going to be telling you about when coincidences don't work and why, and how to avoid using them.
Right.
Thank you.
Ultimately, I think you're allowed one.
Yeah. I think one coincidence, because coincidences do happen in life, and if as a writer you are trying to bring life to your audience in a way that is believable but obviously constructed, your audience, I agree, will allow a coincidence to fly by. You bump into somebody in the supermarket all the time, so your character therefore can bump into somebody.
Molly agrees.
Your character can bump into somebody unexpectedly. Things will happen in life that are coincidental, but the ticket is sometimes you want your characters or your story to have events happen that will move your story along, will be interesting, but you can't either be bothered to steer it intentionally or you're not sure how, and that is when you start piling coincidences on, and that is weak storytelling. What do you think, Jono?
Well, okay, so yeah, when I say you're allowed one, I think the incident, not necessarily the inciting incident as it relates to protagonist versus antagonist, but the incident that launches your story as a concept. It could be, for example, your main character wins the lottery and then you examine the consequences of that windfall, be they positive at first, negative later, which is usually how that story would go. Or you could do a story about how, and the point is that is a massive coincidence, winning the lottery. You could do a story about, you're a woman, your husband leaves you. That's not a coincidence, but it's not something that happens again and again and again in your life.
It's not a daily occurrence.
No, it's a very dramatic thing to happen, and it kind of clears the road. So when that happens, when your husband leaves you, then that's your story. If that happens in the first few pages of your book, that's your story, isn't it? It's how does she move on? And then another idea for a story is you've got someone who discovers that they've got a long lost brother or sister, and that person reaches out to them, finds them, and then that person again is challenged to embrace a new part of themselves they didn't know.
Exactly, and that's again not something that happens every day.
No, it probably won't happen to most people in their entire lives.
Yeah, so you've got three significant things that are unusual, but people can buy one of them.
Yeah.
People will go with you and be like, oh yeah, well, people do win the lottery.
Yeah.
People's partnerships do break down. People do discover that is events that happen.
Right. But if you had, on the same day, at the beginning of your story, your main character discovers that she's got a long lost brother or sister. She then wins the lottery and then her husband leaves. All at the same time. That's too much for a reader to believe could actually happen, even though it physically could happen.
It could, exactly. It physically could, but it'd be too big of a coincidence to happen all at once.
Yeah, now...
However... you go.
Well, one point on that. If the husband leaves as a result of a change in the character after she wins the lottery, if the brother or sister who's out there hears that this is a lottery winner and comes looking for a handout, those are consequences of the initial coincidence.
And if you want to tell the story of the marital breakdown, of the long lost relative, and of the lottery, exactly, you can do it.
Yeah.
But you have to choose one of them to be the coincidence.
If it's those three, it's the lottery. It has to be the
coincidence.
Thing.
That is the thing that happens that has no foreshadowing, no build up, and it just boom, it just lands on your character's plate, and then their life happens. And as you say, then what you have to start doing is early in the story, weave in the potential for marital breakdown.
Yeah.
Weave it in. Mention that her father might have had extra marital relationships.
Yeah, that he was a scoundrel.
Exactly.
And then you've got the context for these things.
Then when those events happen, part of the story, they aren't just a massive coincidence that has come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They are things that you have plotted for and planned for, so your audience will accept them.
Yeah.
They will accept the initial coincidence.
Yeah. They can still wreck the head of the main character. They should. But they won't boot your reader out and be like, how did all of this happen on the same day? or at the same time, because it's just too unlikely.
So if you
even though
want,
it's
yeah,
possible.
if you want events to happen in your story that you aren't sure how to build to them so that they do feel like a coincidence, you need to start looking at your characters that are involved. Look at who they are as people and start thinking about why you could make that legit.
Yeah.
Why would that husband leave her, right? Is he, has he got an attractive friend? Is he potentially gay? Is anything like that going on that would cause him to leave? But you have to weave it in early, not drop it. And you can, if you want two people to bump into each other in a supermarket, just as a really low-key example of a coincidence. If you want the two people to bump into each other in the supermarket, all you have to do is put in earlier in the story something about how one of them has a party to go to and needs to buy some pizzas, and the other one is running out of eggs. So that way, it's not just that. You've written in earlier why they might be there.
Yeah.
You've written in, so your audience is like, yes, I see why this would happen.
Meeting someone in the supermarket isn't that much of a coincidence.
It's not, as I say, you can do it. It's just if you try and extrapolate that into a bigger situation. So if you do want to have all these things happening, just, and it doesn't take a lot. It really doesn't take a lot. It just takes a couple of beats, so that earlier in your story you can see how it can come to that. And you know what? I'm going to put a link up the top to Narrative Triplets, because Narrative Triplets would be a brilliant way of making a coincidence work, because it stops it being a coincidence then, because you have planted the seeds earlier.
The other way to fix this problem, coincidences are a problem, is take control of them and don't let them be coincidences at all. Let the dramatic events that happen to your main character that are going to change the way that he or she thinks about the world, behaves in the world, have those incidents be as a direct consequence of action taken by the main character or by that main character's antagonist if it's a person. That way you can see the construction. The reader won't think of it as construction, but they know what's coming without knowing what's coming, so it all follows then.
And it can still be a surprise. Your audience can still be like, I didn't see that coming, which is good, but they won't be like, nah, too big of a coincidence, don't buy it. Which is when you lose them. And surprises are good, but booting out because it's too big of a surprise is bad.
So one of the ways that I think we as writers are tempted to use coincidences, and I never advise doing it, but when you need to resolve a conflict, did I say coincidences?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. When you want to resolve your conflict, and it might be the story conflict, so you're talking about the climax of your story, it might be an ongoing obstacle that they have leaped, that your main character's leapt. You don't want that to be easy and without consequence or without cost. So the temptation might be, if you're just exhausted, you've been writing, you've done 2,000 words and you're knackered and you're like, I need to write more. And you don't know how at that moment to have your main character overcome the problem, so you just want to wave a magic wand and have a coincidence solve it for him or her instead. That is when you can't really do that, because readers are going to feel like it's just too easy. They're watching something that they're not watching a person be challenged and overcome. They're just watching, a person
things
get
happen
lucky
and it lands, and
it shouldn't be.
I agree.
Lucky when you're getting into those conflict resolution moments in the later halves in the second half of your story, in the later moments of your story. No coincidence is there, because sometimes writers will use the kind of miraculous ending, which is the Deus Ex Machina. Which again, it's fine. It's essentially kind of God fixes everything, and I think it happens in Lord of the Rings at one point. But
it happens in Buffy with the snow. Yeah,
it does, and that was an accusation about we could get into a long conversation about Buffy, but
it is easy to be like, and then there was a flood and all the evidence was wiped away.
Yeah, too easy.
Or
you don't want your main character to get away with it. You want your main character to have to deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna put a coincidence into your story, put it in at the very, very beginning. because then you can build up from the coincidence and make everything else intended and woven and sewn and constructed and written.
Yeah, that's
because
the
that's
job,
what your
because-
job. Your
yeah.
job is to write,
Yeah,
not
as
just
you're
just drop things and just follow.
yeah, as you're writing it, you might be putting yourself in your protagonist's shoes and thinking, God, it would be really nice to catch a break here.
Yeah.
But that's not a good story.
No, don't ever give your protagonist
No
a break. No
So,
break.
no, you don't want any help from the universe. You need your character to
Fight for
defy the universe, and
Yeah.
that's what we think.
So very much.
So very much.
So thank you very much for watching our video on coincidences and why you should try to avoid them in story if you can.
Yeah, in many forms.
In many forms. Hello. And Molly obviously is being very adorable today. It's very unlike her. She's normally just sleeping. But thank you very much for watching. If you could like this video and subscribe to our channel, we'll be able to keep bringing you the free writing advice that I hope you are benefiting from.
That too.
Yes, so like this video, subscribe to our channel, helps us grow and helps us do it more. So yeah, please do that. Also, if you could come and find us on social media or drop a comment below, because if you wanted us to talk about a specific thing to do with writing, or you have a question, something like that, you want us to do, comment, talk to us, tell us, because we always love interacting with people, both on YouTube and on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. We love finding everybody who is into the same things as we are and all, talking and working on it together. It's a great community to be part of, so come do that. Thank you very much, and that's it. Thank you, and we'll be back again soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.